Alex Terrace here, back with another expert review. I've been in the photobiomodulation space for the last 10 years, dealt with many laser companies, LED panels since the beginning, since they first came out, all kinds of light therapy beds, full body beds, and more. So I have a very unique perspective and have the capacity to compare all different options out there and help you figure out what's going to be best for you. Just send me an email anytime. My email address is the best way to get in contact with me, below in the description of the video. So I wanted to make a video about what's the better option than having a full stack of individual LED panels, as you see here in the photo for platinum therapy lights. Now this might as well have been, or I think there's like four others, like four other main brands, not just platinum, that has these like setups where you can stack them together like this, and they're nearly identical to one another. So there is an actually much more therapeutic option out there if you're looking for something that's also portable. And so we're going to walk through really quickly what some of the disadvantages of this sort of setup are. And I've been quite surprised. Some of the higher level wellness businesses that actually just have a setup like this, it's there's always better options out there, and so it's just a matter of doing your due diligence and knowing what's available. So let's get into it. So if you get kind of like the max setup like this, which is considered full body, I just want to point something out that, let's scroll back up here. So the layout, or the grid layout of where the LEDs are on this, really pretty much come from the same couple manufacturers in China. So most of the brands have an identical grid layout to this in terms of where the diodes are positioned, whether they're red or near. And usually the different options that you see with different companies are just based on the ratios of like how many red or how many near. But basically the max that we can put onto a pretty standard full length panel like this is around 300. Okay, and so just keep that number in mind. So if you got like the full setup here, then it would be 300 times 4, which is obviously 1,200 LEDs, right, total. And so this is what, so again, some businesses or people at home are doing as like what they think is the best full body option on the lower price point end. So the one drawback there's a few drawbacks to doing this sort of setup. One is that on the actual grid itself, there is, since you have to stand at a distance from these things, they basically have to dial the arc angle or the lens on top of the diode to factor that in, right? So we don't want too wide of a dispersion on the incoherent diode itself, because otherwise it would diffuse the energy so much it would be almost nothing by the time it really kind of landed on your skin. So they try to give it a little bit more focus with a certain sort of arc lens on it, and it would look more like this. Now, I was standing in front of that platinum setup, the 4 one, at a Restore franchise, and it's a popular one. And I was probably, I want to say, let me think about this. It was probably about 8 inches from me, so I was standing definitely a little bit closer to it. And here's an actual photo of what my torso looked like. Notice all the dark areas here, first off, and notice how you can kind of see like the individual red diodes on this. Let me go to my other one here. You see, I can kind of see like the red dots. It actually came through much better in some other photos, but anyways, and then again, you can see the dark areas, but you can see the individual red spots here, partly because of the arc that you're using to have it more focused. Second, because there's near infrared diodes in between the red. That's partly why you also see some gaps. But again, just notice like the darker areas also where I'm not getting much, or how it's more focused in a certain area. So it's not that great, these systems at a distance. The other thing is that when you have the 4 setup here with whatever brand, and then remember in that photo it was platinum, but it's the same challenge with all of them, is that you have not very many diodes. So they have to focus it because you're also going to be a distance from the body, so they don't want to lose too much energy, but then it's not having a really good broad diffusion. So there's areas in your body that aren't, literally a lot of areas, 50%, that's not really getting direct red, if that makes sense, or vice versa, the near. Then you have this big space in between the line there and the line there, the gaps, and these gaps also are not producing any light on your body. because they're having to join them together. And usually you're standing in the middle. So you're standing in the middle with this huge line going down your body. You see what I'm saying? And that's a disadvantage also, that you have to deal with that there too. Okay. So it's tricky. It's tricky. And then of course you're only getting one side of your body, right? Obviously. Now, some people will have the 4 on the front and the 4 on the back of you. Okay. That's a popular setup in like just a better higher end wellness sort of facility or clinic. They'll do the 4 in the front and the 4 in the back. Usually people at home are not doing a 4 in the front and 4 in the back. It's not as common, but in a business, that's what they're attempting to do. Okay. And it's still, all the disadvantages that are just shared with you, is still valid for your backside as well. Okay. So if you do your front and your back, then you got 1200 plus 1200 LEDs, right? Which is 2400 LEDs total. Okay. And obviously there's still, though, based on how that focused the beam on my torso, you remember that? Could we say that there's like 50% on your front or back of a gap, right? Where you're not getting a very strong red beam or a near beam. Isn't that true? So in other words, it's leaving a significant portion, like 50% of your front or back. And it could be something less, it could be 40%, whatever, you get the idea. It could be a significant percentage of the whole front of your surface of your body and your back that are not getting red or not getting near, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's talk prices for a second. So look at the pricing on this. Okay, so those that remember the big long stacks, the quote full body one that I've seen a lot of facilities. Just to get 2 of those is $2,498. And since of course, we're all math challenged these days and can't do anything, we're gonna actually break out the calculator and say, so it would be times 2 for the front side that represents the front of the body, and then the total for the front side and the back side is about that. So I see these fairly common. They're like facilities that don't want to commit to a full light bed, and that's basically your price point. To get also, how many diodes total is 300 times 4 is 12, so 2,400 diodes. And again, this math is going to be almost, with all these numbers, pretty much on par between multiple brands. Okay, so let's call it 10,000. Shipping, whatever. So $10,000 for front and back side. Okay, now I'm going to show you the better option. So this company has many different epic best-in-class products with photobiomodulation, but this one is the Luma Bag Pro Max. So it's like a sleeping bag that you get inside of. Let's do another view here. It says open before she puts it on top of her. Normally you shouldn't be wearing clothes, obviously, but anyway, it's just a model. So you get the idea. Okay, and you're going to zip yourself up in here. Let's take a look at this here. Comes with controllers. We're going to go over this actually in a video too. And 100 milliwatts, but it's about 90 to 100 milliwatts per centimeter squared. The Platinum lights and other brands, they're just about that too. They're about 100 milliwatts more or less per diode, but it's a distance from your body, and then they have to do the lens arc angle. How much are you really getting then, in terms of the calculating the dosage and energy? It's complicated, extremely complicated. Nobody really knows the exact math and measurements when you're calculating with an LED at a distance like that. So you can basically come up with kind of like rough theoretical estimates based on, well, we're going to get into it, but a more surefire guarantee is 3,600 LEDs covering your entire front side and your entire back side. Now, where are these high intensity medical diodes? They are on your body. They're directly on it, okay? In some weird areas, they might be like an inch away, but you get the point. Your body is completely sandwiched. It's 3,600 instead of 2,400, which is the max you can do with the panels, regardless of the company, like Platinum or whatever, okay? So there's a huge difference in the amount of diodes, number one. And the other massive difference is this is directly on top of you. So there's like no distance. So are you getting 95, 98% of that energy? In some cases, 99 of that energy, that total joules of energy going directly into the body with probably a very significant depth of penetration, because again, it is full intensity right on your body. Absolutely you are. So if you want to look at the studies, then you can actually, they're more on par with LED studies from the perspective that in those photobiomodulation studies, they don't really want to put a distance between the subject and the LED, because LEDs are incoherent and they reduce their power a lot at a distance. They usually use devices that are right on top of the body. So just wanted to point. Now let's talk about the other quick advantages. When you have a panel system, whether it's one panel or multiple especially, are you going to be moving this into different rooms? Are you going to be packing it up and taking it with you in case you want to travel with something if you're not like a business? Obviously not. But in the case of something like this actually folds up nicely, and you can put it in the carrying case and you can take it anywhere, anytime. So, and it's white, and you can wipe down the whole thing easily and clean it easily. I use hypochlorous acid to disinfect and clean it. You can put it in a massage chair. You can put it on a zero gravity lounge chair. You can think about all the places you can put something like this with somebody being comfortable. Unlike, hey, want to stand around for 20 minutes in front of this thing? Well, not really. No, I don't, as your customer or patient. But I wouldn't mind getting super cozy like this while you maybe give me some hydrogen through a nose cannula in my nose while I'm reclining or whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? And then again, you can get it right out of the room. You can pack it up in 5 seconds. So let's take a look at the actual video here. So it's again just up close. I just thought you might want to see. That's a really nice texture. And the strips where you don't see the red light is where the near infrared is, obviously. And this is the controller. It allows you to do different time increments. There's 2 of them, one for the front side, one for the back side. You can control different settings. So different minutes and times that you can select. You can set a pulsing rhythm of 40 hertz if you want to get into that research. Otherwise, it's more of like a constant output. And then you can change the intensity level to multiple different intensity levels. You can choose the red wavelengths, or you can choose the near infrared wavelengths as well. So it's kind of like anything you'd want to select and choose and do. It looks like you got 50 minutes on this one, and you can, it's just, all kind of the basic functions depending on your current setup and what the person wants to do, what their health goals are, things like that. So this thing is so much better. There's a lot of also light beds on the market that are, for multiple reasons, weak in terms of their delivery. And this, we don't have to get into that because it's a different topic. But basically, this light bag is stronger than several different light beds on the market. Those are the big full body things that are a lot higher priced. There's also other models, and the other models are the Lumabag. As you see, this one right here, the Pro, it's a lower price point, and the difference is now there's 2,700 LEDs. Okay, and there is actually another Lumabag that is not on the website, but is just about to be added here. And the other Lumabag, which also comes in at a lower price point than this, it's the same scenario. Everything is identical with the exception of the LED. There's less LEDs. And I just can't remember what it is. I think it's just under 2,000 on that. I want to say 18 or 19, but basically still a tremendous amount. And of course, this is still a massive amount to be directly on top of your body in terms of how much you absorb. So I've had different people that have tried other light beds, for example, like the really big, higher priced things. And they've definitely tried certain ones and found that the max using this for 20-30 minutes was actually more powerful. And of course, more convenient because they're not having to travel somewhere to use a light bed. And they can just like consistently use this thing, day in and day out. And that is something to be just mentioned before I go, is the cumulative effects. You always want something that you don't have a problem with using, so it has to be comfortable, right? You want to be comfortable using it. Maybe you get sick of standing around for 20 minutes, on your feet. Maybe you want to recline and do, a vibroacoustic chair at the same time. There's a lot of really unique things in how you can stack this, but more importantly, you just want to not have excuses of being able to easily use this. So it's a great at-home thing, although we do have a lot of businesses that are actually investing in this for kind of some of the reasons I already talked about. If you do want some guidance on the light beds as well, or you're curious about the strongest light panel on the market with 9,600 diodes, which is insanity, more than some light beds actually out there, with 63 presets, which come from photobiomodulation studies, which is also totally unique. This company is, about to explode. They're about to pop in a big way. You're going to see big name celebrities starting to endorse them, have them on podcasts and stuff like that. So reach out if you have any questions. My link to this website, if you're interested in ordering anything, or you actually just want some guidance, or you want to look into other brands, things like that, you can just email me anytime with your needs and give me some questions and give me some kind of background context on what your overall goals are, and I'd be happy to guide you. Thanks.